Okay, so the other stream had to cut down. Wait, hopefully this one goes out. Notifications. And I'll just wait for a second. Damn it, looks like this notification isn't going out. Ah, man. All right, so I'll just do the report. I was interested in hearing what you guys had to say, but okay. So if you haven't heard yet, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell. Well, actually, that's not 100% correct. He was found in a state of cardiac arrest in his cell after he apparently hung himself. Um, this happened at about 6:39 a.m. That's when the call went out. So, and that's when the call went on about 6:39 a.m. Um, he's pronounced dead, or at the very least arrived and pronounced dead around like 7:30 a.m. at the hospital. Um, in my opinion, this is a disgrace. It's obvious that whatever happened 2 weeks ago is exactly what happened this morning. Whatever went on 2 weeks ago is what happened this morning. And I have some information that you're not gonna get on the news really. Some protocol, some details that they're not putting on the news. It's the same story. They use the same terms and everything. Very, disgraced billionaire. It's like seems like the catchphrase, the mockingbird point. The word they were all given to say. But this is a disgrace. Uh, the real disgrace is the New York City prison system. Um, now, if it was you or me, yeah, someone wanted us gone, we could be suicided in a second. If we wanted to commit suicide, I can tell you it's very difficult to commit suicide, um, especially after you've had what seems to be a failed suicide attempt only a couple of weeks prior, 2 weeks prior. Literally impossible, basically. What we thought it was. Um, although I don't believe that he committed suicide this time. Not at all. I mean, they said that it was suicide by hanging. I just don't see that. They would have had this is so many high profile people are involved that for obvious reasons that all of us seem to understand, and we know that the New York City prison understands, and the warden and the guards, is that so many billionaires that I mean, just going over that, we only went over 1 month the other day. We only went like the first 9 pages, 1 month. I think it was like early January to early to mid February, and just from what we went over, it was immediately like wow. Like once we started like getting on a real roll, I mean that was kind of fun, getting on that roll and like start cracking some of the names. Um, and as we figured out who each one is, it's almost like their career started right after meeting him, right after going down to St. Thomas and obviously eventually over to St. James, Pedo Island. It seems like that's like where that's where careers are born, you know, which leads to a whole new discussion about what type of, the people who are really in charge in all the power positions, what did they have to do to get there potentially? You know, it almost seems like in order to be, you have to kind of play ball in some way, in some type of spiritual way, or at least have dirt on you, something. I don't know, but there's something to it that became uh, obvious. I mean, the amount, literally, to see that many people in 1 month. In 1 month, I go without seeing very close family members and friends. You know, this guy was very busy meeting all these multi billionaires, and a lot of some of them were powerful before. Other ones just had like a lot of them just had a bachelor's something and liberal arts bachelor's, and then became some of the most powerful people in the world after '02, which is the year we were looking at. But I want to focus, make sure I stay focused on what we're talking about here, and I think it's a disgrace. But at the same time, it has to be that some people turn their head. But there was supposed to be people of higher integrity than that. We like to believe that those people exist. I know that those people exist, but you would think that, because let me just preface this. By just protocol alone, 2 weeks after a suicide, he should have been on suicide watch. What they're reporting in the news is that he had just finished suicide watch. So I guess like 10 to 14 days, is all you need to suicide. That's unbelievable. That's, I mean, and I know in the local jail here, you even talk about suicide. They put you in what's called a turtle suit, where you can't move your arms or legs. It's actually pretty cruel. Um, it's so cruel that like it does kind of deflect people who are just so depressed. They say it thinking that they're gonna get out of this dangerous general population and into some cushy medical unit, but instead they end up naked in a turtle suit, and which is very uncomfortable because your arms and legs are basically restrained. You can't move right, and you're treated like an animal, kind of. Um, so if that goes on at a local county jail here in Boston, I couldn't imagine what goes on at a federal prison for somebody who his just staying alive and his trial coming up is gonna decide the fate of multi-billionaires, people who own everything, the owners of the owners. You know what I mean? Like the top people, politicians, all the above. We know what kind of names are on those lists. We know what kind of people. We know we like. What do we always say, right? When these type of situations happen, who benefits? Well, the only beneficiaries I can see is anyone whose name was in that book, that flight log, or on a couple other things we were going to show you, and we're still going to show you because I think it's actually more important now. It's even more important because I think that they'll still go forward with some of this stuff. I hope so, at least. Makes it a lot more difficult with him not there, but a lot of times, a defendant will plead the fifth, and they'll just kind of sit there and make you prove it. I mean, that's a common tactic used by good lawyers. And so, I'm not saying that I don't think this stuff is going to see the light of day. I definitely think it is, along with a lot more. There's a lot more out there. And there supposedly was a huge dump of information I've been trying to find just yesterday. In my office. Yeah. Well, to be honest, I'm kind of pissed off. Really, I'm kind of holding back some like real rage, like to just the thought that even one person would get off of the many who would be going down. Pisses me off. Yeah. At first, I was shocked. I'm like, how is this possible? And then when I heard everything I heard, it made sense that a suicide watch would be what it is, and would be similar to what I know to be a suicide watch. Except because of his status, especially after what happened 2 weeks ago, he was on video. His, in his cell. I couldn't believe he was in a cell alone. You would think he would be like in the medical wing where, he where he can't get someone can't get to him, whether it be another guy or it be another inmate, a god who, by the way, sometimes in these jails the gods are the worst ones. A god, um, just a lot of situations like that. When we're talking the type of people that in 1 month that he saw, I mean, it's common sense. Like it's not even a conspiracy. This is like one good thing that can come of this is another huge red pill moment that maybe things aren't as upfront and honest as it seems, because he was on video, audio. He was in his cell alone, but still being monitored 24/7, video, audio. Guards outside of his room. Also, he had a U.S. Marshal that was assigned to him at all times. Well, if that U.S. Marshal doesn't lose his job, that's something to look at, and that's something I'm going to be looking into. Who was the U.S. Marshal, and or at least what came of this U.S. Marshal? Was he fired? Was he, what happened? If he's not fired, that would actually take me in a different direction to start thinking, hmm, is this a way to fake a death? And also, what I'm hearing from very good sources, um, I try not to, but actually two different sources, um, both of which rank high, um, and have been in a certain three-letter agency that would be involved with this for a long time. And I'm telling you, the what they're hearing is that when he was taken out on the gurney, his face was exposed, and that was of concern to them. Although he wasn't, pronounced dead yet, so that could be it. Um, the fact that but they made sure that his face was seen. So that's almost shady, because you think he'd be brought out in a way where nobody would see him, whether he was in cardiac arrest or and going to die or dead or just about dead, or he was actually already dead. But it seems like they went through lengths that multiple people saw his face as he went out. Also, I heard some people that when I'm trying to make sure I don't misquote them. When oh no, I actually so that's what the and then the other one was talking about a U.S. Marshal, and to keep an eye on that U.S. Marshal, and that um, they thought this was a form of will the truth come out? It's supposed to be 4th of July. Well, it better, because you know what? I think that they've gotten away with so much crap, and people are waking up, and this is another moment that people are gonna wake up. A huge moment for people to wake up, like for normies and stuff like that. Be like, 2 weeks ago, he was found in the fetal position. Um, bruises to the neck, and was it someone trying to kill him? Was it him trying to commit suicide? Whether it's A or B, for it to for whatever it was, A or B, it was exactly that this time as well, A or B. But if it was just him trying to attempt suicide last time, I would still leave room that it could be him being taken out, Arkancided, but I do believe that the truth has to come out. They're saying that they're not going to show a picture of his, an image of his face or body, I mean, that would be pretty morbid, but in this type of situation, I thought they might, but I just heard them saying, like, so apparently people have been asking that there won't be like an image of the body or anything like that. So, but it will be interesting to see the medical examiner because already one person who was interviewed was showing. Now, this is something I was trained on, and this is something that someone else picked up on that I speak to. They were doing, you know, wrong head movements and the type of head movements that lead to there not being forthcoming. And that doesn't mean it's just a regular police thing and they have to withhold certain things for events. When you do that, you're like, you know that you're purposely doing something wrong and lying. So I think there's something to that as well. Um, so let's see. I'm gonna read something what you're saying. Desperate equals sloppy. Yeah, it is sloppy. This is sloppy because this is like it's just so obvious. That's possible, Kelly. If it was that other option, that's possible to ready the public. Let's say you're saying like even for like a like if you an Arkancide or suicide, you think so? Or are you saying that if it was like a ploy to put him in witness protection because they felt like he wasn't safe there? Because he was like just taken out of suicide watch. But regardless, he was still because of his profile and the obvious, potential dangers, whether it be himself or somebody else. When that many billionaires were involved in whose careers and careers of other billionaires who might be connected to them, and I mean, it would just be such a. That's why this is one of those situations where they have to be more forthcoming than they normally would be. They have to be. People, I hope that people would raise hell. I hope so. I'm not sitting here telling people to do anything. I'm just saying that this is a situation where if we don't get any clear answers, you have a right to be pissed. I'm pissed. I went from shock. I was literally shocked. I'm like, no way. I'm like, no, no. I guess I had too much trust. Even being a very non-trusting type of person, as far as you know, uh, government and things like that, and what the powerful and what they're really actually capable of and really actually all about. Um, yeah, I'm sure his food sources are guarded. I was almost thinking like, did he meet with a lawyer that could have slipped him something? Because so they said he hung himself, and they brought him out on the gurney, face exposed. Yet, I guess that would somewhat make sense. You would think they'd try to go through some kind of measure to not make it so, you know what I mean? Like, things get jammed. But, in an emergency situation, it's possible. The face was exposed, people saw his face, which brought up the question, why did go, did they go to lengths to make sure that people saw his face? Um, and then he was brought to the hospital and pronounced dead there in cardiac arrest. Um, so, if it was a poison, yes, there had to be some type of, I just don't know how he others that they can. That's what I worry about the hanging part because it's very difficult to hang yourself when you're such a high profile case and so many other billionaires and powerful people and politicians' careers and their friends' careers depend upon what comes out of your case and discovery, which a lot of it's going to come there might be ways to that not that some may get off that wouldn't. There has to be some benefit to his death. I'm almost like totally going away from suicide. I just don't see it. I don't see how he could commit suicide like that. It had to have been something where he, he might have even not minded being taken out, but that other people were obviously involved. But that's why just in case, I mean, it's a federal jail. You think you have your best guards, but guards can be bought, which is why the extra precaution they had a U.S. Marshal there as well. And what about this U.S. Marshal? How the hell? How the hell? It's, that's why I almost think of like a poison. Being in cardiac arrest, the hanging was just, or like him attempting to hang himself. It could be something as simple as taking a seat. Although usually they take away all that. They take away the could be something as simple as him trying to hang himself. And really did it for like a half a second and they ran in to get video and audio 24/7. No sound? Not no volume? Well, that's not me. Oh, is that better? Is that better? My hand was over the bottom. Shit. No, that was me, guys. Not the. It was over the bottom. So right there, that's the mic. All right. Well, it's just said a bunch of stuff, but I just don't understand what I was saying. How under 24-hour of video and audio surveillance, which he was, especially after 2 weeks ago, you know, um, whether you believe it was an attempt on him or an actual suicide attempt. Um, how that same thing could happen 2 weeks later. I don't see how that's possible. I just don't. And what I'm hearing from people, from one person, is that he had a U.S. Marshal with him at all times, as well as guards outside his door, along with the 24-hour video and audio, um, monitoring. So how the hell could he again 2 weeks later hang himself or even be offed without total cooperation of everyone involved? That is the real question here. And it and then from another source, so I told you about the U.S. Marshal. From what they told me, there was actually a U.S. Marshal assigned to him at all times. So what about him? We have to look out for that U.S. Marshal. Look out for, does that U.S. Marshal lose his job? If he doesn't lose his job, then I'll open my mind maybe in another direction, like some kind of ploy to keep him safe, and you know, I don't know. I'm not really going there at all, but if this U.S. Marshal doesn't lose his job right away, then I'll open the doors on that one and think, maybe it was a ploy to keep him actually safe and put him in the witness protection. Because obviously he wasn't safe there. Um, but it's just shocking. It's just shocking. So I could see the guys getting bought, even though that the warden couldn't want this. But then again, maybe he did. I mean, obviously he has all these friends with all these very powerful people, including the governor of that state, who was on our list. So, I mean, the governor, he's like, the governor overlooks well, this is federal, but it's in his state. Is what I'm saying. It's a real messed up situation. I'm pissed off about it. I really am. I'm really pissed off about this, and I just think it's such an injustice to the people. we're finding out with these filthy billionaires, and it seems like I just couldn't believe it, and the things that they go on to own, the people who co-founders of Nickelodeon and Disney Channel and all that. It's disgusting. It really is. It's disgusting. And to know what this guy was about. And in 1 month, we looked at about 5 weeks. That's what we looked at in part one of looking into flight logs. And we came across so much. We came across so many different names. Some of the most powerful people, presidents, billionaires upon billionaire upon billionaire. It would be like every 3 days a new billionaire that he would have for a couple days to and from. It's almost like people, and then a lot of them didn't really have this big career until after '02. So it's almost like, you go there and boom, you're a star. You're some hotshot all of a sudden. And a lot of them only have bachelors, and whatever field they're in, liberal arts bachelors. Like what? That's the degree that some of these people had, and they're now the CEOs of all these companies, and there's something wrong. I mean, that's a whole nother topic. I'm not gonna get into right now. Kind of get into, do you have to? Laptop. I can't take calls like this, not on the laptop. But do you have to, in order to become that rich? Is it impossible unless you do some type of like ritual, oath, selling of your soul? Some type of dark spiritual shit. Is that what has to happen to get to those levels? It makes me wonder. Um, But like I said, that's not what this video is about, but it kind of is. It kind of is, because that's what we were finding as we're looking through those logs. And by the way, the work that we're doing on those logs, last night I tried to go live and no notification went out. Two people came in the room, and I've seen both of them already here today. You guys know who you are, and thank you guys for coming, because that means that you guys are searching and we're actively like looking and checking on the channel. But unless you were searching me, you weren't gonna find it. So I decided, hey, this is a situation where I need all hands on deck. Because we did when even having. I mean, we had a good amount of people the first night, even though I started way later than I wanted to. And it helped a lot, because while people in chat were cracking some names, they would crack a name, then I would crack a name, then chat would crack it. It was great. We were doing a great job, and we have so much more to do. And I think it's even more important now, because we want to make sure that each and every one of these people are exposed. Cappy was on his way to New Mexico. That's correct. From Arizona. He was on his way to New Mexico, where his mother lived. But that's the story. That's that story is being told post mortem, right? So, yeah, he was going through Arizona to get to New Mexico. It's true. Mark not. And yeah, that's also what we're gonna be looking into heavily, that we didn't touch upon enough, besides just the mention of it, was New Mexico, and we got some new information on that. Um, so I don't know. I hope that there was some type of dead man switch as well. Um, it's not so much the names being released; it's just evidence of what they of their actual acts, or videotape of that. He had a extremely advanced surveillance system in and outside the house. Now, did he have it in the underground areas under the temple that we know exist? I don't know. But we also know that New Mexico seemed to be a pretty messed up, a lot of messed up stuff went on there too. Palm Beach in New York City seemed more like actual residences where I'm sure some stuff went down, but nothing like on the island or on this New Mexico ranch. And on the list, we saw several New Mexico governors, a New Mexico senator, a lot of people in New Mexico. It's something Santa Fe. I don't wanna misquote, and then some people look, but I believe it was a Santa Fe police something. Maybe a chief, but I'm not sure. I don't want to say without looking again. But this is something. This makes it all that much more important. What time, Kelly? 8:30 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. I think that's best. That way, Pacific time can they can get involved as well. I'm thinking about around that time. Yeah, yesterday there was a bunch of documents released, Mark. Yep. Um, yeah, yeah, and yeah, senator, a governor, a former governor, Alan Dershowitz. Yeah, a bunch of stuff was released yesterday. Huh. So it wasn't suicidal. Huh. That's interesting, Kelly. About the jackets and brackets song. I'll check that out. Yeah, there's a lot of them are Jewish. Yep, that's a fact. Um, yeah, so we're gonna be going over this and much more. I just wanted to give you the few details I had that you're not gonna get in the news. His face wasn't covered when he was being taken out on the Ghani. All right, so was that done on purpose? Well, it was an emergency situation, so maybe they just said screw it and just they were just trying to get him out while he was in cardiac arrest. Um, Also, he was under 24/7 video and audio surveillance, had guards outside his door, and a U.S. Marshal assigned to, you know, make sure that everything was on up and up, be there at all times. So it'll be curious to see if that U.S. Marshal keeps his job. If he does keep his job, that to me opens the door to potentially it being a situation where he maybe isn't really dead and it's witness protection, and they know that he was in an unsafe place and there were plans being made, so they made this elaborate plan, made sure his face was seen on this gurney. They're saying that they're not going to show his body or anything like that. But I don't know, maybe when people start demanding otherwise, you know, they 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 do bend to the will of the people. Um, but I'll be curious to hear what the medical examiner says. I don't know how much it's worth, but if he's a man of integrity and he doesn't get gotten to, we'll see. This was obviously a situation that was done out of desperation, whether it was a deep state move or a suicidal move. I lean towards the latter. But with that, I believe I'm gonna be doing the part two tonight. I tried to do it last night, but I didn't even know that I had a second stream running the whole time. So then I did that other report on the declassifying of the documents. I just found some good information in that article. If you guys want to check it out, But part two will be tonight, and I think it's more important than ever that we complete all these names, and get it all out there. All right. So until then, if anything comes up before then, I'll go live. So, but just to make sure that notifications go out this time tonight, um, I won't be going live more than once. And I already had one failed attempt at going live. I still had somehow a YouTube video on the background, even though I'm on YouTube. I don't know how that's possible, but it was. So, all right, thank you guys. Thanks for stopping by. I hope at least you got something here, and at least we're able to talk about it in more open terms when you're gonna hear in the news. They don't exactly shy away from it. This is almost, that's what I'm saying. When I start to hear the mainstream media even saying, well, you know what, there's obvious questions here that to this, how could this possibly happen, you know the type of people that could go down because of him. So the type of power and influence they can have. How could they possibly let this happen? Like, why even that? I don't even know why they had him in a cell, to be honest with you. He should have been in like a medical part of it. Now that does make him exposed to more people, but I think he would have been safer overall. All right, so Red Pill News Dispensary signing off. And if nothing breaks today of significance, then I'll just see you guys tonight around 8:30. Most likely, let's say 9. Yeah, I shouldn't say 8:30 because it's just not gonna happen. So I don't want 9:30 Eastern time. So 6:30 Pacific time. All right, Red Pill News Dispensary signing off. All right, I'm pissed.